Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Taurus. If Taurus is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so this is a bonus reading for Taurus, and tonight our card is Number 5, the wise one. In other decks, it would maybe be the Hierophant. Okay. And these cards are from the Tarot of the Abyss deck. They're very beautiful. Okay. And so if you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. Okay, so immediately I'm seeing a face here. You can see the eyes, the mouth, and it looks like there's a broken heart right beneath it. Yes, kind of the head. So, yeah, that's the energy, I guess. Unfortunately, no. It feels like there is lingering in there somewhere a broken heart. Or kind of the echoes of. Now, I think this was a big moment in your life. Okay, this is one of those things that kind of molded who you are as a person, even today. Even if this was like a long time ago. This was the end of something so important to you. This could have been the passing of a very close family member. It could have been the end of a really important relationship, one of the great loves of your life. But this is definitely one of the big ones, one of the big losses. And though it doesn't seem like it is something that's happening right now, I think that you got to jump down. Go ahead. Go on. Pudgy, go. Go on, buddy. But I do think that this is something that remains with you. And it is something that, careful there. It is something that it sets the tone for, maybe some of the relationships that you have, or some of the relationships that you have avoided. I think that in some ways it put you off people, or being so closely connected to people. I think that you have maybe like a core group in your world, and I think that probably it's like, family and maybe a friend or two. And then there's kind of everybody else. And though I think it's easy for you to make acquaintances, and you're probably very personable and charming and all these things, I think that it's almost impossible for you to kind of go deeper than that. Yeah, I think that's something that maybe you lament. Now, it also looks like it is the face of maybe like a dog or a coyote, okay? And so then I also believe, and this is very much related to this card, the wise one, which in the booklet says, yeah, it is the same kind of energy as the Hierophant, but this is more of maybe like a shaman or a medicine person, or somebody who is initiated within some kind of folk magic or tribal custom, okay? And some kind of practitioner. Now, we wouldn't necessarily think of this as magic. Maybe in the modern world, we, kind of ascribe that to these practices. But This is a holy person. This is a person who, you know, served many roles, really, you know, and often, I think probably most likely was kind of like somewhat of a psychologist and historian and an artist, and obviously a person that walks between realms, and somebody who is maybe like a herbalist and very in tune with movements of seasons, animals, weather, the plant life, and so on, you know, a lot of different things. And so the coyote related to kind of a messenger of spirit and a trickster as well. So I think that, you know, not only have you turned away from really seeking deeper relationships, and maybe this has been for a majority of your life, you know, because I think this hurt maybe is one from your youth. And I think that this kind of has led you into the interior work. I think that you have learned to be very much your own person, and somebody who lives in a place that is somewhere in between the base reality that we all kind of, you know, assume is this is the really realest place there is. But then there are, you know, many sub-realities and different planes of existence and consciousness and so on. And I think that you probably live in there between, you know, at a crossroads of many of these kind of maybe altered states or places of fantasy, interior landscapes, you know, and this is probably why you're a creative person, but more than that, even, I think this is how you are so in tune with spirit. This is how you probably are somebody who is a seer, you know. It's not only a seer. What am I trying to think of here? A clairvoyant, an intuitive, but even beyond that, I think it is a sense of, well, you can think of, there are people who experience reality, right? And then there's like another layer on top of it, and they can kind of see things within the fabric of reality. They, you know, they have insights that most of us miss. And it's kind of like, it's almost like if you think of like augmented reality, it's this thing that's laid over top of, or it's kind of seeping through, you know, through the stitching. But then there are people who really just fully can exit reality, can go into these fully immersive other worlds. And I think that this is maybe you. You know, I think that you are somebody who has visions, probably does dream work. If you're not actively doing dream work, I still think that it comes to you quite intensely. It's very potent. And so there is that trickster, not just trickster, but it is that kind of, well, if you can think of like the fox or the coyote knowing all the secret tunnels through the forest, right? On the plains or in the desert, knowing all the secret little, you know, the little holes and tunnels and behind the scenes paths. And I think that, you know, that you embody that spirit. You also, and this comes through really, really clearly here. I feel like you're really good at direction. You're one of these rare people anymore that knows how to get around, like in the city that you live in, or the areas surrounding where you live. You can go to a place like once and remember how to get there. You remember landmarks, and you can do all this without things like GPS. And I think people are like kind of amazed by this, especially probably younger people, because we live in a world now where a lot of people don't know where things are. They don't know how to get out of their own side of town. But there was a time where people just kind of, they knew where they knew where things were. They knew what direction they were driving in. You could, I remember my dad was like that. We could go to any town in Northern California and he knew, like, where things, like the main roads at least, and where there were restaurants, or somebody he knew used to live here, and whatever. And I always thought that was pretty amazing. But even more so now, I look back and I think, it's not a lot of people can get around that easily. So I do think that you have that kind of ability, and I think it's that's something that I think you maybe even be kind of proud of. You're a little bit, there's a little bit of pride there. Okay, so we have, it looks like a W right here. And I want to turn this way. We got away on that face. Sometimes the faces are so clear. Okay, let's see. And I saw that we had, where did it go? I saw the name Lee, or it was Lee. And where did it go? I lost it here. Oh, here it is. Lee. Okay, so we have Lee. Yeah. Okay, and so then we have, it looks like a person, they're holding an apple. Oddly, I think, and it looks like maybe wearing a mask of like a wolf. And they have their arm out, they're holding an apple. And, it feels like this is maybe a feminine person. We also have a head over here, and you can only see half the face. There's the eye and the nose and the mouth. Okay, and so I almost get this feeling of being attracted to somebody who is not as they seem. And I think that that they are not who they say they are. They're well, we have the kind of story, right, of the poison apple. We also have like Little Red Riding Hood with the wolf, with the bearing gifts, trying to eat everybody up. And I feel like there is somebody in your life who, it's kind of maybe a friendship, or I don't know. I think there's a sense of almost being kind of enamored by this person. And very drawn to them, and and they're not who they say they are. And I wonder if this is maybe online, or maybe it's somebody that you know in real life, but they really kind of present themselves in a way that is very unlike what the reality is. You know, almost like somebody who, and I don't think that it's not necessarily that they are like insecure, right? And they kind of just present themselves a little bit better looking than they are, or you know, or whatever, or they perceive themselves to, you know, they like the fixing up their pictures and this kind of thing. I don't think it's like that necessarily, so much as this is like a person who is trying to like make money, I think, first of all. But I think that there's also just a sense of obsession, of this real kind of like primal drive to cause chaos, to destroy, to just kind of really, and I think it really feels like it comes from a place of jealousy, you know, or wanting what you have. And I think it's just, this is somebody, and I know you know who I'm talking about as we're talking about this, and I think this is somebody that you have to be careful of. You know, because you're very aware, but there's just something about them where it's like you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you know, give them a chance. Like, maybe it's their circumstances that are, somebody has been on my table today while I was gone. When I started getting set up, I'm like, everything is kind of like, I think the cats have been fighting up here. But anyways, I'm sorry. I just keep noticing things are disheveled. But I think that this person is just, I don't know. Once in a while in life, you will just run into somebody like this. And you just hope that they don't get their gaze fixed on you, you know, because it is a headache to try to evict somebody like this from your life. I mean, you know, I think we've all gone through it. And I think especially when you're younger, it happens more often because we're probably more social. People are, I think, less kind of developed as beings, and, you know, are, I think, probably not as careful with one another. And then, you know, this is when we run into these kinds of friendships, and not that it's a friendship, but run into these kinds of people that we let into our lives without, you know, vetting them more carefully. And so, you know, I think you're aware of it. I think that you just have to really, you know, for me, this is my thing about people, is that if they make me feel weird, or there's some kind of, you know, I feel uncomfortable, you know, I get a feeling about them, I try to be open-minded about it. I try to, you know, be kind and everything, of course. But especially if I'm like drawn to the friendship, and it's like, I really want to know this person, but there's something here that I can't figure out what it is. I will give myself some time, a break, you know, a few days, a week, or whatever, a couple weeks. Don't have conversations, or, you know, whatever. Don't overly communicate. Let it cool down, and then see what happens, right? Kind of sit back and be that wise old owl, right? Keep an eye on things. See what's up. How is this person living? You know, what are they doing? What Are they, overly interested in talking to you? Are they trying to, pressure you into seeing them, and so on and so on and so on. So, like anything else, sometimes we got to step back and have some perspective. And then you can really, I think it's hard to make a decision when you're in in the intensity of things. So it's important. And I think this is going to be important for you. Be careful, because this person, I don't know what it is in your life that they are so interested in, but they just seem like a destructive person, so tread lightly, I guess, is now let's see. Now I do see we have a person standing here with their arms kind of up, and I'm looking here and it looks like we have well, it looks like we have three things up here. And in my mind, when I saw it, I was like, oh, I feel like it's like money falling out of the sky and just kind of drifting down, like it's raining on you a little bit. So I think this is a time where, with everything else going on, I feel like there really is kind of this desire, of course, to make some money, for money to show up in your life. And I think that it's a perfect time for you to, maybe do some affirmations, make some offerings. I'm trying to think, I feel like, and this is maybe an old school one, but taking coins and burying them at the edges of the place that you live. Okay, so whatever the property line looks like. And now you maybe live in an apartment or something like this. And what I would do is put them on the street, like by the street, or in the front of the property. And you don't have to dig them in deeply, but I would drop them on the corners of the property that you live in. And this is to draw in money for yourself. It is, you might be thinking, this is very superstitious. Well, I'm a very superstitious person. I don't do a lot of things to do with money. But sometimes we get into these cycles, right? Where, things align in such a way that it is that season of green, right? And so, I think that this is the time to kind of put in your requests. And not only that, here's the thing. And I like this example, it's always the best one in my mind. If you're looking for fortune, you are looking for success, you want to win the jackpot, the lottery, you can do all of the, money mantras and make an altar, go out and put your coins at the corners. You can, pray and do all these things. But if you want to win the lottery, you have to go out and buy a ticket, right? You can't win it without the ticket. So that's just an example. But if you want to make money, you have to be looking for opportunities to make money. It's not just going to show up on your doorstep, unless you're real lucky. I don't know how that would even work out, but here's the thing, there is a price to be paid for money that shows up that, is not tied to working for it or doing some kind of gig or or you know, whatever, actively. Maybe you play poker or whatever, the lottery or the ponies or whatever that is. And by the way, I don't promote gambling at all. I've never done it myself, so I don't know that much about it, but I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't bet on betting, right? But you know, maybe, yeah, maybe doing some side jobs or gig work, or you know, I don't know, whatever, putting in some overtime, or you know, what have you, looking for that job that you've been looking for. This will be a good time to put in applications, to submit your resumes at places, because it feels like the universe is open and you know, ready to work with you here. So take advantage of that. Now we're going to take a look over here, and we have a exclamation mark, but we also have the illuminated candle. We have something kind of in in quotations. Now, I feel like, and we have a 3. Oh, we have 31. Okay, so 31 is a really important number here. But I feel like this is almost, it feels difficult. It seems like maybe a sibling, or somebody like a sibling, a cousin, or somebody you grew up with. And it feels like you used to be very close with them, but as you grew older, they got into things that kind of pulled you away from each other. And I wonder if they maybe weren't, you know, kind of in the streets, or you know, maybe they got to drinking or something like this, and it feels like they kind of their priorities shifted, and the dynamic of your relationship really shifted, and though, you know, there's never been love that was lost, I think you still love them very much. You've drifted apart over many years, and now it seems like it's been so long that it's almost kind of like you don't even know each other. You know, it kind of almost feels like, well, I don't, you know, sometimes when we don't see people for so long, they almost kind of feel like a figment of your imagination, or at least how you knew them in that time. And so in some ways, I think you've had to mourn them. And I feel like this maybe circles back to that first part where we were talking about that heartbreak. But I think that there's a sense of, oh, what is this? If there's a sense of like having a lot of dreams about them, a desire to know them again. But I think that there's kind of this blockage there. And I think that you even maybe worry about how you might find them. You know, when you do meet again, what would this be like? What would they be like? Would they be the same person, or somebody you can't even recognize at all? And I don't have any advice about that, but I think that it's something in your mind, you know. And one thing I can say, though, you know, is that I think so often we kind of work up people into these it's almost like monsters in our mind, especially when it's within the family and there has been an estrangement. And it could be from shared trauma or circumstances, falling outs, and things, clashing personalities, and addiction and death and whatever else. And you wonder, how could you ever find yourself back to knowing these people who have a shared history with you. And but I think we think about it, and it feels like such a monumental kind of scary thing, because it is raw. It's such a raw feeling, and you don't know, how are they going to blame you, or are they going to be combative? Is it going to feel like going right back to the old days when things were rough, right? Will you feel guilty? Will you feel nothing at all, which is maybe the most scary thing. But, I feel like I understand this deeply from my own circumstances. But, I think more often than not, we build it up in our mind, and I can't say either way, because I have family that I haven't spoken to in a lifetime, basically, and other ones that I have reconnected with, in the last years, and although it was really emotionally trying, it wasn't as, I don't know, it wasn't as overwhelming as I maybe thought it would be. And at the same time, we still don't really talk, so it's like, it can just, it can happen, you just don't expect, in your mind, it's built up into this thing, and and then it's like, oh, this is just another human being, just like I am. They're just trying to exist and survive and get through their days just like I am, and so, yes, I don't have advice about it, but I know that it seems like it's something that has really been on your mind, and maybe this is like an anniversary, or you've seen somebody from the old times, or I don't know, there's just an energy of them around for some reason. All right, let's see. We have the divine doors, and I'm going to go ahead and flip through and stop where it feels right, and I will flip this over, and we will take a look. It says intuition, simple, complex, words of pain or words that heal. You come to know truth by the way that it feels. There you go. There you go. You know truth by the way that it feels. You do, right? This is one of the biggest hurdles, I think, in the self-work, in the initiation of self, in becoming a person who is kind of awoken to the world, right? Learning to listen to yourself. Oh, we have so much conditioning that tells us that we're, looking at something the wrong way. We're overreacting. We're always looking for a reason for something to be wrong, or we're, sensitive, we're emotional, we're, whatever it is, we're paranoid. But you have to, at some point, try to push aside all of these things that we've been told and we tell ourselves, and get to that place where it's like, I just know, I feel it, I hear it, and I trust it. Now, am I going to make decisions based on it? That's another step, right? That's maybe even more difficult, because a lot of times we know. But will we act on that intuition? Sometimes, I don't know why we are like this as beings, but we often choose against ourselves. We have all of the information we need. We understand what's going on. We feel what's going on, and yet we still choose against ourselves. You know, and that this can take a lifetime to untangle, but it is an important aspect of the work. Okay, Taurus, I want to tell you I love you, and I do. I thank you for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel so much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I read them all, and they mean everything to me. All right, I love you. We'll talk in a few days. Take care of yourself. Good night.